Just a quick note before we start episode 21. This is the season one finale. And at the end of the episode, I'm going to share something from the heart about where this podcast is going and how you can be a part of it. So please stick around. Hello, my fellow fans of the small. I'm Laura Blair, and this is Tiny Worlds, Big Stories. Here we celebrate the artists who craft small scale magic, miniature makers, diorama dreamers, and dollhouse designers, and uncover the stories and creativity that bring these tiny worlds to life. Whether you build tiny scenes or simply love them, welcome. Before we jump in, I have to say how grateful I am that these two humans exist. As someone who lives here in the Pacific Northwest, it feels really special to see people investing so much energy into growing our miniature community right here at home. Today's guests aren't just miniature makers, they're also new owners behind the Pacific Northwest Miniature Shows. And honestly, they've taken on a huge job for all of us tiny things lovers out here. You're going to hear about how they accidentally built a miniature business during COVID, how they somehow juggle full-time jobs while running two major miniature shows, and why creating tiny worlds might be one of the most helpful art forms around. And exciting news, I'll be here at the Portland show in October with the podcast, interviewing artists and dealers and miniature lovers on the fly, which I'm really excited about. So grab your coffee, grab your paintbrush, grab your tiny wallpaper scraps, and enjoy this conversation with Parrish and Kris. Hello, Bleau family. How are you?
Hi.
We're hanging in there. It's a great day.
Thank you so much for coming on. And so it was such a treat to meet you in person. And you're doing a huge amount for us in the Northwest. And I really thank you for that. So I'm always start with the question, were you into little things when you were tiny, when you were a kid? Did either of you play with miniatures or small things?
I'll let her.
Okay, we both did.
Yeah.
So my dad was always into very tiny things. And so, yes, from a very early age, he bought me a very large dollhouse from a friend who locally did dollhouses. And every year we would go to the Oregon coast and to this little dollhouse shop, and I would collect something every year, a big piece. And I still have all of the miniatures. I have all of my
You
vintage.
have them all?
Love them, including his collection.
Oh, well, no wonder you're such a fan. That's huge. That's very unusual to have everything intact. Yeah, cool. How about you, Parrish? Into little things?
So I wasn't into dollhouses when I was little, but I was a very sick kid growing up and so we ended up my parents. I lived in Minnesota. I was born in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and my parents moved to Minnesota, and we lived there for most of my life. And we had a train set, so I couldn't go outside. The winters are cold. Got a train set.
Oh.
That's how my parents got me through that, because I couldn't do anything outdoors. So a train set's kind of where things started for me.
Well, I would say those two things go hand in hand. I mean, a lot of the stuff I use in my is all train material. I love train shows because it's right up my alley. Even though I don't do trains, I get it. It's all the same planet for sure.
It is.
So now miniatures are everything. This is what you guys do for a living. It's all the things. And we're going to talk about both parts of your life with that. So how did the miniature thing come into your life as a business? Were you doing other jobs? Was there something that it just kind of transitioned for both of you?
Well, so it was. I had a woodworking business. Still have a woodworking business. So I make old custom historic moldings for homes, historic homes, that type of thing. And so in the cabinets, that type of thing. So my daughter, it was during COVID. She was like 4, 5, something like that. And she asked us to work on the dollhouse that Kris was talking about, because it's never been done. It's just a blank slate. So I'm okay. So we went and looked at dollhouse siding, and it was like $200 to side this thing.
Yeah.
There's no way. I have all this equipment. Why am I buying it when I can make it? So I sat down, got the cutter bit, and I went to go buy the cutter bit. And the machine that I use, the company said, what are you doing with this? And so I told them I'm going to make some dollhouse siding. And they said, well, how thin do you want it? And I said, well, it's going to get down to probably in between a 16th and an eighth, because there's an angle on there. And they said, this is not going to work. It's going to explode in the machine. It's not going to work. And I said, well, I appreciate your thoughts. And they fought me on it for a while. And finally I said, well, who's paying the bill? Am I buying it, or are you buying it? Because if you're going to give it to me, then I understand why you wouldn't give it to me. But please send it to me. So they sent it to me. I figured out the process, and we started making it. Well, then some people are saying, your siding is very defined, as far as the pattern on there. And so you should sell it. And so we started selling it, and it's slow at first. And then American Miniaturist magazine saw it and they picked it up. And the sales lady
Brilliant.
started that whole process, and I said, well, I don't know any miniature people, how do I contact these people and kind of get into that so they know it's available? Well, she goes, well, do you know Karen's Dollhouse? And I said, no, I don't. And so she got me in contact with Karen, and Karen's the one that actually really flourished our business. She's a wonderful friend. She actually started us out. She gave me a little corner of Tom Bishop's table, or I mean, her table, and it was in the wholesale room, and I sold out the first year, just blew everything out.
Interesting. So it totally makes sense to me how you started with this, because you're a craftsman to begin with. You were making stuff, big stuff. Of course, you're going to make it beautiful when it's small. It's the same. I mean, right? It's just smaller.
It's just smaller. Yeah. And it is perfect. And our little girl was actually, you should put it on Etsy. And this is when she was 4 or 5. How do you know about Etsy? But she, in it, after he said, after he'd been to the shows, it kind of just got crazy.
And so did you find with the miniatures, it was word of mouth? People found your stuff. They loved it. They told other miniaturists. Is that kind of how it blew up?
It took a while, going to the Tom Bishop show really helped, with increasing that. But then it went into the flooring. And so with the flooring, it was a whole different process, because we do a lot of the laser work on there. It's not the only tool, but for the most part, it is a largest part of the tool that we use for that. And so when I found a gentleman here locally that would do proof of concept, so I paid him. So I lost money. The whole year I lost money doing this thing. By the time we got to the point we could make some money at doing this. And so that's how we got more and more deeper into it.
Yeah, we bought a commercial laser and invested in it.
Is this all at your home, by the way? Do you have something at home, or do you have a shop elsewhere?
We have a building. We call it our studio building. And so it's a 12 by 16. That's where the laser is housed because it's dust free. We have most of our miniature stuff in there. And then in the wood shop, we have the saws and that type of stuff. So we kind of separate it out to save the electronics on the laser and different things. And more of a clean room.
Yeah, clean space.
Got it. That's brilliant to have both. Which product do you sell the most of? What's your hot thing that people just love to order?
Well, siding and flooring sells crazy for us. I can't keep this stuff in stock. I'll make a whole bunch, and then like weeks later, it's like, I got to make some more again. But we have a full-time job, both of us too, and so it's really busy doing all of it, and keeping up with things. It's
What are your jobs? What do you do during the day, both of you?
So I work at Legacy at the Regional Transfer Center. I worked in medical fields for 16 years, and prior to that was construction. Well, I had a really bad accident. I almost died. And so I'm laying in the emergency room, and there's this really nice nurse that took care of me. And I was like, I need to change careers. I want to help. Both of us love helping people. And so that's kind of where that started. And I was going to school for my nursing degree and different things like that. Never finished the nursing degree, but fast forward through up to before COVID, I was in the emergency room, and then COVID hit.
Yep.
Then I was in COVID during the emergency room during COVID, and I just got burnt out. And really, this is really what is an outlet for me.
Yeah,
it really helped a lot, and the support, especially with Kris, because of her love for the miniatures. It went hand in hand. So I work in a regional transfer center now, and I work nights. And so
you guys are amazing. I'm seriously, you guys, I do not know how you juggle everything. I'm thinking about all the stuff you do. And you have a family. I mean, that's another whole podcast in itself. Kris, what do you do? What do you do during the day?
Right now I work at an orthodontic office. For an orthodontist. I started in dentistry when I was 16. My sisters both worked at a clinic, and then I worked in the chart room, worked my way up into the business department and the insurance part of it.
Yeah.
And in the interim, I did work for Rebound Orthopedics for 9 years. And now I'm back in orthodontia.
So all of this stuff this is what you love to do when you get home.
Yes.
Do you have the schedule where you eat dinner and then you're quitting? Okay, that's good. So do you eat dinner, then go into miniature land? No, because you're working at night. How do you coordinate everything?
Well,
Sometimes it's two ships passing in the night.
and text messages will be he'll be like, "Oh, what are you still doing now? Oh, I had to bill out this person's, order, or
Me.
I need to make, we need to make this order. This came in. Can you do this?" Cuz he does a lot of custom work. I am learning how to use some of the equipment, but my thoughts are there, right? And I just am, can you make this? I'll send him a picture. And typically that's how we communicate during those few
Wow.
days where we're not seeing each other a whole lot.
There's days we see each
Yeah.
other, but there's times that we're not. So,
We're
and it's
usually working when we are, though. Yeah.
it's we're we try to be really organized, especially with our calendars. If you saw our calendars, it's like color coded. They're totally filled up, So,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's becoming a lot, and so that's why she's quitting her other job, is to focus more on the miniatures, and
Are you
then
excited about that, Chris, to have just
I
that?
really am. I see all of these people online, which I've met many of them and I love them so much, and they're such an inspiration, Katie. And I just got the pleasure of meeting Natasha from Viva.
She's a love. She's coming on next season. She's the
Amazing.
best.
She really is. And she's so sweet and so down to earth. And, and I just love that. And then we've, got to meet Pat Williams and Georgia. I don't know how to pronounce
it's
Georgia's last name,
Matushak.
Matushak. And these are like old school, but they still make miniatures. And
Mhm.
it's such an inspiration. And I look forward to just being able to be creative and actually have the time to do that. You know,
I think that'll change a lot of things for you. You'll slow it down a little bit. The creative process won't be so let's get it done. It'll be more let's enjoy it.
let's enjoy.
Your creative strength. So you're obviously the craftsman, Parrish. You're making all that. And so, Chris, what's your, because I know you complement each other well. What would you say your strengths are that kind of bring this thing together, bring this union together?
If it wasn't for her, I couldn't do the things I do.
For instance, let's just say our little vanities that we make. I saw, I love impressions vanities, and nobody has ever really made a more modern vanity that lights up with LEDs, that has working drawers. And he was looking, I was crazy. Send me the dimensions. And literally, he
Good man.
proof of concept. He shrunk it down, started with the desk, with a wooden desk with a plain mirror. And then it went from there. And now we have the vanities, and Impressions Vanities actually did reach out. They noticed they were like, "Oh my gosh, these are the cutest thing." And the video wasn't even that great. I've done so much better videos on this, but they noticed that how cute they were.
So there'll be more of that. There'll be more of that. You
I
creating
hope so.
concepts and Parrish, you making them.
Make that. And I just, I look at Pinterest a lot, or around my own home. We have a mirrored Z gallery table. I would love to be able to make that.
Well, you will. I'm pretty sure I'm going to see some pretty cool stuff.
He will make it.
I'm sweating already.
I know. So the process, has it gotten faster? Has it evolved over time in terms of the concept to getting it get
Definitely. With Chris, like I said, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be able to do a lot of this stuff. It She is the one that brings the design into it. As far as I can create it, but she will tell me the colors and that type of thing. And so that's what really is the great partnership between us. Other things too, but for this.
Yeah, it's a dream team. Dream team, you guys. No, obviously, because you complement each other really well. And the design part's important, but the execution, you won't have it unless the execution happens. So there you go. That's great.
I know.
Have you ever made something that you really loved that didn't land with the miniatures, or has it all been gold?
Everything, I would say the hardest thing, our black and white flooring, it landed, right? We had all the materials and had it down, and he made a few pieces and people loved it. However, the materials don't always work well in the laser. They want to bubble, or it ruins this whole piece, this beautiful piece. And it's just, oh my gosh. So that one has been a challenge. And he knows, I mean, if anybody knows how to tune in that laser, it's him for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so frustrating because we know it's such a great product, but getting it to be quality, because we won't sell it if it has a flaw, right? We're just not going.
I see that. You guys definitely it has to be 100%, and that's what makes your product stand out for sure. That's probably what got you started in the beginning, right? Well, it did, Parrish, because people were saying your siding looks amazing versus what everybody else was making. So that's kind of where you began, which
Mhm.
is a really great that's a great reputation to have.
It's a very tight community, when it comes to it's a large community, but it's a very tight community when it comes to that.
It's my favorite. They're the best people on the planet as far as I'm concerned. I'm talking to two of them. So, what do you consider yourself more artists, builders? What's your kind of in your head?
I honestly,
Or opposites.
I do not feel like I'm an artist. I just feel like I contribute, I don't feel like I'm that type of person,
Would you call yourself a craftsman?
I I could, yeah, but,
For sure.
I guess,
For
we're
sure.
always harder on ourselves, for the
I know.
most. I've there's it's always amazing to me, even going this every time I go to a show, somebody will see our name there and they'll come to our booth and they'll say, "I was so happy to see your name on the list that you showed up. I specifically came here to the show because you were here." Are you kidding me? Why would you come to see me? And they're like, "We love your stuff." So really it gives reassurance of that. And I don't need the reassurance, but there's so many there's so many better people that I am, that it's
Oh, you gotta own it. If people are buying your products because they want really beautiful stuff in their house, you gotta own that because that's like people are really kind of particular about what they're going to put, especially on the exterior of the house, because that's what everyone's gonna see when they walk into the room, right? If it's turned around, especially on the turntable, everyone wants to show the outside of the house, especially and the inside. I mean, I feel like you've got a following and you've earned it, so you gotta own that. It's good.
Yeah. And I mean, we do other things, we do pieces strictly for other dealers that nobody ever knows about. And
Really?
so, it's kind of a hidden little secret or Easter egg, So it's kind of cool. Like Pat from
Kris, are
Twin.
you gonna start talking about that? No, Pat from, yeah, I know everyone loves her, all her food. So is that part of something you're gonna do with social media when you have more time, is kinda show some of the other aspects of what you're doing?
Yes, we have shown a little bit of what we do. People will be like, "Oh my gosh, you make those her little cutting boards, the multicolored cutting boards Parrish makes."
See, I didn't know that. That's fantastic.
They have the little dovetail boxes, but Neil does all the finishing work on them. He paints
Yeah.
them and does her husband and does all of that. And then we've also done a lot of flooring in different we'll see our flooring. Oh my goodness, it's our flooring in there, because it's pretty distinctive of who made it.
I feel like everybody should know that's you guys. I feel like that's something that should definitely be out there.
Very we love them so much. We're good friends with those two, and they give us credit and we give them credit. And with my subscription boxes I've done, I use her in every single one. I have a
Oh,
piece of her.
Kris, tell us about those. Talk about how that started and what goodies we get when they come in.
In 2022, it was like my brain, I was ordering FabFitFun and all these boxes, and nobody does a miniature one, which I didn't know about Rachel at the time, Mic Drop Minis, which
Right.
she does a great job. And it's a totally different box that she does, but her and I have talked. So my idea was let's do seasonal and let's include different artists in it and then add our own kit or our own piece into it. So it brings a community together. And that's kind of my idea. And it also, I include a card with who made what. So if it's a small Etsy artist, I want to direct traffic to their website also. So I feel I've had bigger artists like Kelly from Melvin's Miniatures, of course, because, her stuff's amazing. And, Twin Heart, I've had Marina from Deck to Farm Charm. I've had Katie helped me do a giveaway type of thing where she made one of her little fairy gardens.
Yeah.
And, I just bring the community together. And that to me, it's so much fun because and then it gives them business also, not just myself. So I'm not in it for just me. In fact, I barely break even on them, but it's so fun to curate them and put them together.
I bet. So was that kind of a precursor to you wanting to be more involved with the miniature world? And we're going to kind of segue here into PNW miniature shows. Was that kind of before that? Or
Yes, that was 2022 that I started kind of promoting it at Tom Bishop's show. People were like, "What? What are you talking about?" And then 2023, I was still really pushing for it. 2024 is when I launched it. and it's grown ever since, and it's
Oh,
steadily increasing. So people are now, seeing it online a little bit, having different people that I do a giveaway for every season. That way,
make sure we put all that stuff in the show notes so people can sign up. Also, if you're listening on Apple, you need to go to YouTube because I have pictures of all of this and you need to see the goodies and all the stuff that goes with this pair of people here. Okay, so let's talk about how did you decide to buy miniature show business? Oh my gosh, that's such a huge thing. Instead of just participating. So tell me the story. I want to hear it all.
So Karen from Karen's Dollhouse calls me and she said, "Have you got a hold of the show owner for the Seattle show?" And I said, "No, I have not. I haven't heard anything." And so I said, "I've been trying." And so she goes, "Will you try? Will you continue trying? I'll continue trying." So it was the day that we were flying out to the Denver show last year. And I called, and Pat Bennett's husband, which is was the show owner, he picked up, and I asked if Pat's there, and he hands the phone to Pat, and Pat goes, "I'm sorry." She goes, "I had a heart attack right after the show last year." And she said, "I'm not doing well, and I just need, it's a lot of stress doing the show." And so she needed that time, so they were going to cancel the show. And she goes, who are you with again?" So I told her, and she goes, "Oh, that's right." She goes, "Would you be interested in buying the show?" And I said, "Well, have you already offered it to other people?" And she said, "No, I have not." And that was at that time. And so I said, "Well, let me talk to my wife and I'll call you when I come back so literally I had 3 days to figure this out." And so I asked Kris, without telling her this, I asked Kris, I said, "If you could do anything you wanted to do for a job, what would you do?" And right off the bat, she said miniatures. And I said,
The guy opened up and the angels sang.
"Yep."
yeah, miniatures.
So I contacted Pat when we got back and we started chatting about it. And I came home one day and I said, "Well, honey, we're the show owners of the Seattle show and the Portland show."
Happy birthday, Merry Christmas.
Huh? Oh, what? Wait, what? Okay.
So anyway, it there was some struggles along the way. It's definitely, Pat really tried hard to get us the things that we needed, but it didn't happen. And their daughter was so wonderful, trying to help us with this. And we text all the time, not all the time, but we text quite a bit back and forth. It we decided to change the name of just the Seattle show or Portland show to PNW Miniature Shows for the Pacific Northwest. Because that, if we want to grow the show, if we ever decide to grow the show into other areas, then we can encompass Idaho or, more into Oregon and Washington,
Did you hear all the Idaho people cheering just as they were listening to you say that?
They've been contacting us, but
we're like, wait, Holt, we need.
And I know like securing locations and hotels and all that. And the Seattle show was so good, you guys. It was so well executed and everyone was excited and it was a lovely venue. No, it was great. So I'm looking forward to Portland. I will see you there. And that's October 16th, everybody. 16th through the 18th, correct?
Yep.
You're doing a pre-show on that
16th, the evening of the 16th. Yeah.
Awesome. So you've got this show and you're looking at yourselves going, okay, we're really doing this. What did you not anticipate about doing this kind of project?
Well, I know Parrish. So I work, these crazy hours, and he actually took it by the, horns and was talking to Pat, and we couldn't get the list of dealers nor visitors off of her computer because she had an older computer. It was really tough. I mean, she tried so hard. We can't give her enough credit for trying as hard as she did. So that was a challenge. We were heading to San Jose, and Michael from the San Jose show, the Good Sam, aka the Good Sam show, he was kind enough to share a list with us, and that helped for dealers, and that helped us to have some, connections to other people. However, when Pat put it on her website, because she had shut everything down saying there's no show, then she changed the message, which did help because then people started directing, and then we advertised. I can't even tell you how much we put into advertising. I was putting Instagram ads and Facebook ads out every few minutes. Yeah, Ruby is talkative. Literally as often as I could. And that's basically, I think, how it helped. And then Katie, we kind of asked her to influence for us and come to the show. That drew, people in. So, but that getting that list was a challenge.
Boy, to
Yeah.
start with that.
It was stressful.
Yeah. I
Never would have known.
We were like,
That's like, look out.
What are we going to do?
there wasn't a lot of help that way. It was basically us figuring out, and kind of how we did it was with me and Kris, and then our two girls. This is a family business, and so we brought them. Or what's relevant? What are younger people looking for? Because there was a lot of people that said, "Man, there's a great mix of younger and older people at the show. How did you do that?" Well, it was because of our daughters, and helping us with that.
And I love that she was the one that said, be on Etsy when she's 4.
I know. That one right there is beyond her years.
Got some marketing future for her. What's the biggest difference between, I think I know the obvious question, but just maybe some of the other things, obvious answer, between being a vendor at these shows and then really being the person running the whole event, people running the whole event?
We did both in Seattle, which was a little insane.
I think the difference is that, now we have a different perspective for being a show owner now, or show owners versus the dealers. And so, hearing the dealers and understanding why certain dealers want to be against a wall or certain areas. And a lot of it is, we didn't realize it before, but it's people, when they come to a show and they've been there for 5, 6, 7, 10 years, that people look for them at that spot. And so it's really hard. Sometimes it's hard to organize. And that's Kris helped organize the tables of the locations. And, you can't make everybody happy, but we really try. We want everybody to succeed. That's our job is to bring the people there and try to help the dealers. They bring the product, they do their job. So if everybody does their job, we're going to have a successful show,
Yeah. Yeah. And your houses out front there, the houses that were consigned, that's a great, I love that because I'm always on the hunt. I bought that house a few years ago at that show. My Brooklyn townhouse was from it. It's similar to the one that's behind you there. I know that's Pat's, right?
So
Is that her house?
Yes.
This one behind
Pat
you?
Williams. Mm-hmm.
That's so special. That's really
It's
cool.
so beautiful.
Yeah. So that's a nice touch. Was that something she's always done? And then you guys just decided to keep that element, and it was nice. I liked it.
So as far as
started, she's talking about the exhibits and mini acres. Yeah.
Mini acres is what we call the show. I gaining some of the history. I don't have all the history, so if I speak about that, I apologize. From my understanding, is Debbie Hurd helped Pat put the mini acres in there for that show, is what I'm being told. So
it really adds to it. It's really great.
Debbie does one, and Lodi is this coming weekend.
That's right.
Debbie show, and she does a fabulous show as well. And I can't remember what she calls it. It's not mini acres, but I think it's Real Estate Row is what she calls it.
That's cute. Yeah. No, man. I mean, I never would have bought that dollhouse if I hadn't have gone to that show and seen it.
I know. I love it. And Daryl, who runs it, is just the sweetest.
I think I saw Daryl, that super personality.
I love him.
And that's great that you have people that are already wanting you to succeed and win, with this whole thing, and keeping the stuff that worked and also changing things up as we go, right? That might work better. And then in Portland, so this is your second big hurrah, right? In Portland. Are you going to do anything different than you did in Seattle?
I think we're going to try to go with the same kind of concept as we did because it worked so well. And we do have a friend who really helped us with our media statement, and because he's in the media. And so but he's local to Portland. So he has even more connections there, which thank you so much. I grew up with him. He was one of my best friends. He was a brother to me growing up. So knowing that we have that support coming from him, and then we've got, just putting out those ads, having an influencer. I think we've talked Lindsay from Shit to Shine to coming.
I love her. She's coming on the show too.
You too. She is so great. We met her in Denver and it was like instant
connection.
She is so hilarious. And every day, I don't know how you feel, but every day that you open up Instagram and she's talking on there, we cry. Yeah. She's just so funny.
She's like an antidote to the news for me.
She is. She's great. And so she's going to be there, and then we're going to still have mini acres. We're going to have a whole, and then we've, talked the benefits of being a dealer for as long as we have is we know a lot of the dealers. So and so many are supportive that have never been to Portland, and willing to come. And that's New Jersey.
Seattle, it's like not from New Jersey, but in the West Coast, it's a no-brainer. You got to go to both,
Have a lot of like local people, but then
Yeah.
we're bringing in like people are coming that have to travel across from Jersey and other places, and we're so grateful to them for putting the money up. I mean, because it's expensive when you're bringing 4 tables worth of product. We know because we go to Chicago, so we really appreciate that support on that end so much. Also,
Yeah.
It helps with us keeping the show so close to the Good Sam show because it's the week following Good Sam. So if people are on the West Coast already, they can fly up there if they wish. But it's gonna be, Portland has been a difficult show for Pat for the most part. It's been more like a garage, kind of like a garage sale. It's not been on the circuit, as big as some of the other shows.
Yeah.
So that's the challenge with that one. But we do feel like we can get it there. Some support with other vendors and stuff, and work it that way.
Really smart to have it so close to the other shows because once it gets sparkly and awesome and people want to come, it'll be easy because they'll be here already on this coast. Yeah, I have no doubt at all that it's going to be a rock star show. I'm excited. I'm excited to go, and I'm excited to possibly buy a house. Don't tell my husband.
I won't tell. Any shopping you do is secret.
Well, and now that we're all out here, you guys are so close to me. I feel like we should put a little tour together for some of these people so they keep wanting to come,
Sure.
I would love to do that. I guess they did that in Seattle and Jordan.
We should show them Portland and everything Southwest Washington has to offer. We should do it.
Exactly.
We have a lot of shop owners down along the Vancouver waterfront also that are like local, which is, I don't know if you've ever been there. Jess owns it, and she has some of our full size things, but she's actually talking about carrying our minis there.
Oh,
but they will totally advertise for us. So we pound the pavement. Not only do we put it online, we're out. Hey, will you put these flyers on your counter? So people pick them up, and it's right by the airport. So maybe people that have flown in, a lot of people visit her shop to buy local, things.
It's way easier to go to downtown Vancouver from the airport than it is to go to Portland. I mean, if it's right there, you're right. Our airport's the best Portland in the world. Portland, I keep saying that. The best airport in the country, I think. Yeah, it really is. Everybody who's thinking about it, you got to come just for the airport and then stay for the awesome miniature show after that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we're happy that a lot of our friends are able to make it, because Seattle isn't far, but it's a weekend away, right? But having Portland, we have so many friends that will support. And from Portland too, also, I should say, my best friend's from Portland. And so I love minis. And we were talking about her mom's 3 doll houses that she had. And I was always fascinated with those, right? I go to her house with teenagers, but did we play with them? No, but I was always noticing.
I want to play with them, but I don't want to be seen playing.
Yes, for sure. And she was the same. We were talking about it and reminiscing the other day. And she's, I cannot wait to come to your house and go through your miniatures. I'm so excited. And I was good. We'll do
That
it.
energy is it's pervasive of the whole community. I mean, you could see your eyes light up when you find someone who wants to talk about miniatures. I always ask my people here, what do you think it is that makes it so much more unique than other art worlds? And what is it? What is it about these tiny little things that fascinate us and make us love them so much?
I think it's just kind of like making your own little small world. It's a dream world, right? So maybe some people do duplicate their own homes. Maybe they make homes that they can't have, or storefronts that they love, or, whatever it may be. I just think it's a fantasy land, and it is something that's not stressful, but tiny things just make people happy. If you really look at them, it's just, oh my gosh, how did they, do that?
It's delightful to think that something can be made smaller.
The little handbags, right? That are designer handbags. I buy whenever. I cannot not buy. Or smallish miniatures. I love Casey. her little Uggs, the slippers.
Oh, shoes. I know. I'm
Oh,
obsessed with the shoes.
so it's just finding those little things and it just brings so much joy to me.
Besides the shoes and the handbags, do you see any other trends that you've noticed? You guys are right in the heart of the center of all of this. Do you see anything that's kind of hot, people would love to make or to buy?
You know, I don't personally, I don't know, but I do know that looking and making things that aren't being done is so relevant, and it brings so much to the community because it's, oh, that is possible. You know, there's a lot of people that, get ups if people copy other people, and it does happen, but I think it's flattery more than anything, because it's not that I'm encouraging it, but it's flattery, and it's, hey, they really think we did a good thing, and
Yeah.
so, looking at that and going, what can I do next, and then looking at the big world and taking that and shrinking that down, and that's how a lot of times that we get our things, that we look for. So, and
I
a lot of the tools that are coming out now, it's encouraging the creative process, with the electronics and the computers and kids being on the phones and stuff. It's actually kind of, I feel it's changing some of that, bringing the crowd in there, because our older crowd's leaving us, and it's really sad.
I feel like this is a community that could get handed off beautifully without it going away, because there are some art forms out there. I was thinking about like cars, like really classic, beautiful cars. That is a dying breed of
Yeah.
people who work on cars. I might be wrong, so if you feel like I'm wrong out there,
No.
feel free to email me. But I feel because I love car shows and stuff, I just feel it's not, you don't see a lot of young people spending time doing that. Miniatures, young people are just as fascinated. And like you said, it can be a break from all of the screen time and actually be so, because it's tangible. It's something you hold in your hands. And I do think Gen Z understands the importance of that. They're starting to see what they've lost not having it,
Yeah.
and not enough. And I do feel like it's on the up. This is probably because 2020 was huge. It exploded. Everyone was doing it because they were home. I want to do my dollhouse. I have time. Oh, I'm really good at this. Oh, I want to sell my stuff. That's where it goes. And now it's so delightful to everybody else. Even if you don't make, you collect. I
Yes.
don't see it dying anytime soon. I think it's just going to get bigger and bigger.
And I think it's such a personal thing. To go back to your question, I think what people buy is so personal
Yeah.
to them. And that's why I'm always like, there is room for literally every type of artist in this world. And
It's true.
that's, I think encouraging one another instead of feeling any competition. I don't think there's no place, because there is room for every person that creates or resells estates or whatever you choose to do with it. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. Like,
Case in point, I want to tell you guys how pleased I was that the guy who came, he makes these little architectural models. You had him at the Seattle show. I met him at the Portland show last year.
Yeah.
Fell in love with this guy. I mean, he's a retired architect. His work was so gorgeous and so exquisite, but really different from everything else that was there. I think he was almost like, I don't even really know why I'm here. The first show that I saw him, I knew miniatures. Oh, you have no idea how much people appreciate stuff like this. That is a great example of there's room for everybody in this community.
and he is a doll.
Brian is
I
wonderful.
love him.
Yeah.
I was so stressed out at the Seattle show. I'm not going to lie. I was so overwhelmed with the crowds, and I ended up at our table alone. And then I had people coming to me with problems, dealers, But I went out for just a quick break. Parrish and Kris, go out, take a break. And Brian and I met in the hallway, and he was telling me how excited he was. He had sold X amount of pieces. I think it was 3 at that point already. And I just started to cry because I was so happy to hear something positive from someone. And especially him, because I know that he's been at the shows, and even though he makes incredible things, it's all about the right buyer. And I was so happy at that
Absolutely.
point that we had drawn a crowd that was purchasing his beautiful pieces.
In Portland, he sold a house. He sold like a pretty good sized house his first show.
I love that man.
We got to put his information, because I don't even think he does like social media or anything. I tried to I got to get your information, buddy. And he doesn't. I know. I feel we got to help him because he's just such an artist. And I just love that.
With
So
Brian,
cute.
he told me, he came up to me at the show and he says, he's so humble. And he came to me and he said, I just want to thank you for allowing me to come to the show. Brian, this is in reverse. I should be saying this to you. With this house from Pat Williams, we're trying to collect some pieces from dealers in the area and then from the show owners that were prior, that we'd like to do. And, I would love to have one of Brian's pieces.
It would go on my mantle, man. It's art.
It is art. You were right.
Okay, that's a project. We're getting that guy online because he's so great. I
coming
know.
to
I can't wait to
Portland.
see him again.
Yes.
I'm going to be all over that. I'm so excited. Maybe he'll even come on the podcast. He's just such a sweetie.
I'm sure he would.
What is just in all of this, what's been the hardest part of everything? All of it. All of your passions and jobs
I
and
guess coordinating our work, together. That's where we're trying to organize it better. We took the rest of the year off for any of the other shows, which we love to support
It was
other
hard.
shows, but
A hard decision.
we need to organize the two businesses in our house as, we have some projects at our house that need to be done. But I think that was the biggest challenge, but figuring out what that challenge is, what the problem is and how to fix it.
And then just making the time to make it good for everybody,
Oh, I think you're doing a good job at that. I know it's hard. Is there any big pie in the sky dream that you ever talk about together in this little miniature world or otherwise?
I personally just would love, there's certain projects that I would love to make in miniature, like local coffee stands. I don't want to give it away because someone will go make it, but you know what I mean? Like there's like little dreams I have. I want to do this or I want to do that because it would be so cool just to display it, not to sell it necessarily.
So you're coming from the artist's heart. Like this is what your dream to do. Okay.
I can't wait to start working on just my own childhood dollhouse. And we have a few other projects in the works. We have a whole bunch. Our laundry list is huge. But once we have the time and I'm able to use the machinery he's teaching me little by little, I'm so excited to do that part of it, to help him too. I don't do anything as good as he does. He should have been an architect or an engineer or something. Like some of the things he can do is incredible.
Parrish, do you have something really big, something exciting that you want to create that you haven't had time or?
Yeah, personally, I haven't been able to do it very much at all, but I love stained glass and I want the materials of stained glass, wood and metal. And so I guess that'd be a big pipe dream, because it does take a lot. The other half of that is just strictly working and doing miniatures, and getting away from the 9 to 5 job that we have or the 9 p.m. to 7:30 a.m. job that I have.
Seriously, I'm exhausted just thinking about your schedules. Yeah, I mean, and do you feel like that is a possibility? Might be all miniatures all the time? Is that the goal?
It's a goal.
We love doing it. I guess that's the biggest thing is helping people. I hate money, because it gets in the way of things. I would love to be able to not worry about that portion of it and just create, and just do and bringing in other artists, because I think working with other artists is so intriguing, and being able to put their spin on something. You do a portion of it, somebody else does a portion, and see where that goes. I would love to do that.
Can you imagine having a dollhouse and having it travel and each person gets to do a room?
That's what I'd love to see.
That would be so amazing. Yeah. Like we would love to see someone put their own take on a space and just being on Instagram, we get to see a lot of that, but having them in person, wouldn't that be so fun, to
go
just
from
let's talk.
The West Coast to
yes.
Yeah. That's the
maybe sending out room boxes that will all go together and then everybody has their own name in it, like a big apartment. But it would be fun to do something like that.
So do you guys have any advice for people how to be super successful at a show as a vendor, since you've been on both ends?
I think your display means everything because it draws people. And we have seen some gorgeous displays. We're always changing our display because, it's not quite right. Nope, it's not quite right. And time, right? Finding the time because we work all the time can be super difficult. But I think also getting out on social media, it's just where we are in the world. Like you have to be out there. And that's what we've encouraged. Like there's a newer artist who's been doing it a long time. Snark Heart Minis. I don't know if you got to see any of her things. Amy Coe. And,
Amy.
she works mostly in 3D printing. However, that being said, she hand paints after the 3D print. So that's what makes her stuff unique. Her little Bambi, the bookends, things like that, the
I
vintage
don't think
stuff.
people give 3D printing enough credit these days because I know a lot of people just say, one off, it's 3D. No, it's
But it's not. Yes, there's so much to it.
it's a learning curve too.
It is. So we had got to meet up with her and have lunch and just encouraging those people to keep working towards their goals because, like I said, there's room for everybody. And so we're everyone's biggest cheerleader. Besides,
No, you are.
Besides doing it for ourselves, it's not just for ourselves, it's for the whole community.
Do you feel the social media part is really, really important right now?
I do. I think it's getting like that Gen Z and even younger, like my daughter who's 14, right? Her shelf is filling with miniatures, right?
Of course it is.
And her room box ideas are, I want this. We'll send you a photo of our older daughter's room box.
Are they either of them going to ever have a table at a show of yours, do you think?
Our oldest.
Yep. She's
Yep.
going to start her own thing now.
Yep.
She already has her name picked out.
Can't wait to see it.
House of Blues with our name. Yep. She's been wanting to do it for a long time. She works for the public school system and she's becoming a special education teacher. Loves her kids. Yep.
So important.
So she's just so good. Yeah.
I love that. Well, it looks like you've created such a wonderful universe over there. And I'm so excited you're close. I'm going to totally crash your studio space. I want to see what's going on. I want to see it in the flesh.
You can come over anytime.
Anytime.
I love it. And thanks for everything you've done for the community, being brave and taking on such a massive thing and making such a quick decision to do it. It was obviously meant to be. And I just couldn't be more thrilled that I live on the same coast as what you guys are doing. Thank you so much.
I'm so excited too.
Well, we want to also thank all the dealers because if it wasn't for them, this would never have happened.
Yeah. The dealers.
They need the credit as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll put, I'm going to put as much as I think the show notes are going to be really long. So we'll put a bunch of stuff in there. all the people we talked about. Okay, and my last question, you each have to answer this individually. What would little Parrish or little Kris be so proud of grown-up Parrish and grown-up Kris that they've done to honor what they love?
I just think, my mom, but my dad, my mom collects miniature perfume bottles, but being able to carry on the craft every time I go to a show, even though it's work, it just warms my heart so much and brings tears to my eyes because he loved it so much. So carrying that on makes me the happiest.
How about you, Parrish?
I think for me, it would be looking and actually making a difference for the community, where as little Parrish would be, looking at that as something that that you're using as a kid, and then you're growing that and making a stance on something and giving somebody else an impression, of what a beautiful thing that you created down the road.
Well, what a beautiful thing you have created, you guys. Really, truly. Thank you so much. And I will see you soon.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Before I let you go, I just want to take a moment because this is the last episode of season 1, and that feels like something worth pausing for. When I started this podcast, I wasn't sure who was out there listening, but I knew this community existed. These quiet, passionate, incredibly talented people who find magic in the smallest things. And I just wanted to find you, and I did. And that has meant everything to me. This podcast is really about one thing: making sure that no miniaturist ever feels like they're alone in this, because we can be hard to find. We tuck ourselves away in studios and spare rooms and kitchen tables, building these tiny worlds. And sometimes it can feel like nobody else quite gets it. This show exists to change that, to be the place where we can find each other and cheer each other on and celebrate what makes this art form so extraordinarily special. So if this podcast has meant something to you, and even if one episode made you feel seen or inspired or just happy, I would love to ask you for a few small things. First, leave us a 5-star rating. It sounds simple, but is genuinely how other miniature lovers find their way here. Every rating helps another kindred spirit discover this little corner of the world we're building together. And if you have a few words to share, a review that says what you've enjoyed or what you'd love to hear more of, that matters so much to me. It helps me make this show better, and it helps new listeners know what they're walking into. You can drop me an email at laurablairart@gmail.com. Whether it's a guest you'd love to have me talk to, or something happening in the miniature world that deserves a spotlight, or anything you want featured in the Small by Design newsletter. That newsletter is something I'm really pouring myself into because I want it to be the one place you can go to where everything is what's happening, in our community. So thank you for spending season 1 with me, truly. Now go make something tiny and magnificent, and I'll see you in season 2 in September.